Hey guys, and welcome to another Borkano game video. Today's video is going to be about the top 10 tips to get more power and to progress in SINoALICE. Let's get to it. Alright, for our first tip, you're going to go to upgrade, and you're going to be upgrading classes. Now I've talked about this before, but I want to show a tip about this. So let's say I don't have enough mastery, right? So first tip is still upgrade the classes to level 4, but the second tip is you go to menu, items, and in the items section, these are book of opportunities and book of destructions. You get these for free because of the pre-registration awards. So make sure you claim those after chapter 1. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use 1 plus 1, use, okay, and then you're going to go to upgrade and sell, upgrade class, and now I have 14,195 mastery. Change my class, go to Kaguya, and now I'm going to level her to 4. So those are the first two tips. Upgrade classes to level 4, and make sure you use your book of masteries in the item page in menu. Alright, before we move on to the next tip, the reason why I say level to class 4 is because common buffs are universal, and then buffs such as 1 and 2 are class, so that means only that specific job will get this buff. Let's move on to the next tip. So my next tip has to do with story and co-op battle settings. Co-op battle settings, instead of being on anyone, you're going to be only selected friends, and then you're going to select a friend. Of course you're going to select your strongest of friends, and if you don't have like that many strong teammates, you can just go to menu, rankings, look in pretty much the top 20 guilds. Let's select someone from Gunblade USA, select go to list, and then you tap pretty much on Manly Lion's face, and you pretty much click follow. And then once you click follow, you go back into story, go into co-op battle settings, go select friend, and then Manly Lion is right there. Thank you, Manly Lion. But that's pretty much how that works. And so for my next tip, you're gonna go to menu, you're gonna go to shop, and then into items, and you're gonna buy the starter packs. Now what I like to do differently from everyone else is I like to buy multiple starter packs, and I do max limit break the weapons. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not, max limit break them. But one of the biggest things to know is that limit breaking and upgrading gear with other weapons. So I'm going to use the support weapons that I bought earlier. This is part of the support pack, this one in particular. And I'm going to hit OK. Yes. And it's going to level my skills. Really quick, but before we do that, I'm at 36,569. So let's see how much it goes up by. 35,659. This. And remember that I am going up in level, I'm going up in skill. I'm at OK. OK. Now the biggest thing I want you guys to notate is I get 8 charm medals. These charm medals are very important. So I'm going to hit upgrade and fuse. Go up in attack. Magical attack just a little bit and up the skills. So we're going to go from 35,569 to 35,099. So we went up 30 in power. But the biggest thing is now we can go to medal exchange and go into charm medals. And you can actually, since I got more charm medals, I can actually buy some more stuff in here. There is SR gear here. There's some jobs in here. It's really cool, just like a fun way that you can leverage this, the starter packs as much as possible, so you can maximize those weapons. And ideally, like, weapons are pretty much the biggest like stat gains in the entire game, so make sure you're very tactical with the way you upgrade gear and then break gear. So for my next tip, you're going to go into gear, and then you're going to edit gear set. The biggest thing you want to do is go to sub gear, have recommended, and now pretty much those support items that you weren't using, they get added to here. The armor, that extra armor that you have, goes in here, and extra nightmares. You'll notice that you have a lot of slots available to you. These are all locked out until you go up in rank, but it is huge opportunities to get massive gains into your stats because you have these available to you as substats. Now the thing with sub gear is notate that pretty much if it's 477 for this gear in particular, so let me click and hold, or 77, it's actually going to be like 40, so it's only 10%, but still that's like a pretty huge gain. You get 40 attack just by having this on you, right? And I did level some of these. I only leveled up the SR ones because, you know, what if I want to use a support weapon once in a while? So that's it for this tip, sub gear. So you probably noticed that this timer has been on my left the entire time. Here's the URL or the address to the website if you want to get to this website. Make sure you select on the drop down here global US/EU. That'll pretty much help you quite a bit. So the next big thing is I wanted to show ranks. This is another part of SINoALICE DB, and the biggest thing I want you guys to pay attention is that 2500 HP on rank 20. Now look what happens when you get to rank 60. 8000 HP. There's a 6000 HP difference. There's a huge AP difference. There's not that much of a difference as far as sub slots go, but over time you get more sub slots as account levels increase. What I'm trying to say is that ranks do matter in this game, like as far as like HP and tankiness goes. So if you want to survive longer in a fight, ideally you do have like a high account level, so grinding is technically quite important in this game. And the best way to actually raise your EXP or grind the game, quote unquote, is to do the main story. The main story does provide the most EXP for the most part, so personally I need to do more of active impulse. I am trying to do the second chapter so I can get all the jobs that are available to me. So, and then as far as events go, you can do these provide less EXP. So if you want to min-max your stamina, you go into events and you do Shattered Memories, because Shattered Memories doesn't give as much stamina or much EXP back, or you can do these Evolution Mysteries at the very beginning of the game. It's a good way to pretty much min-max your stamina if you're trying to be a player who's trying to pretty much get the most out of their stamina. And I do want to apologize for one of my beginner guides saying that get to rank 20. Well, getting to rank 20 is a huge boost in power. Ideally, you can save your stamina. So I want to apologize to everyone who got hurt by that advice. I really am sorry. And hopefully with these tips, I can make it a little bit better, right? So that's it for this one. So I'm pretty sure you've noticed this on my left-hand side, and I've talked about it earlier. One of the biggest ways you can gain a lot of EXP is by doing the Guerilla events. These Guerilla events are pretty important, and I have to hammer it home and pretty much agree with everyone else on YouTube. The reason why you do the Guerilla events is so you can upgrade your gear. What I'm going to do, change base. And you can see here that my gear is quite leveled. I am spending crystals to pretty much run more Guerilla events. I highly recommend it if you can afford it, or if you want to upgrade your weapons. Because ideally, when you're upgrading your weapons, it's not just the weapon that you're upgrading. Don't forget that these weapons do have individual stats tied to them. So when you level them, it's not about just it becoming stronger. It's about your overall entire roster getting much stronger. Now, one of the things that I do like to recommend is when you're in story, is you go to co-op battle, and ideally you do it with friends. The reason why you want to do it with friends is because you get friend medals, but two, you also clear the waves even faster because both of you are attacking. And next, you can actually use items so you can increase the EXP. What people like to do is increase the EXP gained, and you increase the drop rate. So what happens is when you are leveling while you're doing the Guerilla events, and you're getting double the sword EXP, and you're pretty much maximizing all of your gains as much as possible. Now these EXP vials and gold vials, all vials, they're very rare and difficult to obtain, so use them very sparingly. I did buy the ones out from the shop, so if you go to items, they are usually here, but I believe it's only like once a month to once a week. So use them very sparingly, or be very careful with how you use them. But this is just some advice I would say to pretty much maximize your gains in Guerilla events. Ideally, if you don't want to do Guerilla events, you can still farm story, and you can get sword EXP from story. So if you go to main story and let's kick chapter 5, and you don't have to be in chapter 5, but if you click, not that one, but you click the actual chapter, it'll drop like armor EXP for this one, and then for 5-4 I believe it drops sword EXP. So there you go, you can get some sword EXP. 5-4, this summon is actually, I'm not sure about the drop rates, but this summon is actually pretty good to farm, so make sure you do that. So you can either farm story or you can farm Guerilla events. Whichever is your choice. I believe they're roughly the same price, but either or works as far as pretty much increasing your sword EXP, because sword EXP is very important. So really quick before we move on to the next tip, I just want to clarify that the sword EXP can be used on any weapon. So for example, this is a pole arm. I can hit OK. You can see that the sword EXP, I just like to call it, let's just call it weapon EXP, right? The weapon EXP can still go on the pole arm. So on my left hand side, I'm going to go to armor, and I'm going to talk about armor for a little bit. So you can upgrade armor. I do recommend it to like upgrade it just a little bit so you're not that squishy or as squishy. During story mode, there's going to be a lot of content. We're going to get one shot as you progress through the story. So ideally you have strong friends, but ideally you have enough defense so that you don't get one shot by the enemy units. Now I did go up to A rank for this gear, but I just wanted to show this at your discretion. So this is descending, so, and physical defense, right? What's going to happen is it's going to show us the highest B ranks. So we do have the highest B ranks currently, but if I filter this and I add the A ranks, right, you're going to see a massive difference. This is a 700 difference. And let's take this even further and let's filter it to upgraded. And now there's like a 1700 difference. And then you're going to see pretty much it's this one. No, not this one. Not the school series stuff. This one. This is the same exact gear. This is its S gear formation or version of it. And it's at 1200 and 1400. And you can tell that's a huge difference. So there's a 700 like difference in physical defense and magical defense. I do want to say though that if you want to min-max stuff, you can still go to gear. And it can be put into your sub gear as far as like extra armor goes. So technically it will never go to waste, and at worst case you can always sell it. But just a quick reminder that you can upgrade gear, or armor in particular. Just be very sparing with it and be very smart with how you do it, right? Because there is good stuff coming in the future, but at the same time, it can take a while for this gear. So just be mindful when you're upgrading your armor. But that is like a good thing you should do. So for my last tip, I'm going to talk about nightmares. So you're going to go into story, you're going to go to main story, go to chapter 5, and we're going to go back to 5-4. Now the reason why I'm focusing on 5-4 is because of the summon skills he has. Notice it says greatly reduces SP cost of ally win skills. What does that mean? It will greatly reduce any weapons that are being casted, because weapons are treated as skills in this game. So for Coliseum fights and in story mode fights, this is very, very valuable for any DPS, because instead of, when you're using an SP like the Scythe or the Sword from the Vanguard pack, it'll cost much, much less. So let's say that you get dupes of that nightmare, you can limit break that nightmare right here, and then you can add pretty much the limit break nightmares. The biggest thing that I wanted to show you guys is that notice that when you're upgrading or limit breaking nightmares, it's only 0 medals. And if you're wondering how I got to this page, you just change base and then you select between weapons or nightmares. So you can also go to upgrade gear here, and then you can change the base again. You have weapons, armor, nightmare, but you can go here to nightmare, and we're gonna level this one, and you'll notice that when I level them, that the stat gains are exactly the same from previously, and it will also warn you saying that you shouldn't do that, and I shouldn't have done that. But notice that I also got 0 charm medals. But anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. I'll see you in the next one.